Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
And this is the Ron and Don Show. Thanks for joining us today. Very excited that today we're going to tackle part 2 of a 3-part series on tile floor repair and restoration. In episode 1, we talked about the differences between the types of floors in commercial kitchens. While we'd like for you to go back and take a peek at that episode, I encourage you to stay with us today. There's a lot more great information coming your way.
Quarry tiles are predominantly used in the industry for kitchen, bars, and some side stations. It is a very useful and durable product, but it does need maintenance.
And just like all things need maintenance. So as we define the challenges with a quarry tile floor, we have to start with the fact that most cement grout products do not have long-term durability in a quarry tile situation within a commercial kitchen. So cement-based grout products, as well as some lower cost epoxy grout products, have proven that they just don't have the longevity behind them that so many operators are looking for. So ultimately, what has floated to the surface in all of this is a high-performance, industrial-grade epoxy grout.
Well, let's talk about the specifications. On our website, you're going to find the technical specification TD-144. I helped develop this in association with Laticrete. Though there are several other product manufacturers out there that make a competitive product, I've had the best success and longest lasting results with Laticrete Spectralox 2000 IG and Latipoxy 2000. The system for installation of these two specific products is only differentiated by one step in the mixing, which is the speed and the duration of the actual mixing. The Spectralox 2000 IG is a little easier to use and has effectively replaced Latipoxy 2000. I specifically asked Laticrete to sponsor this series on grouting because their product quality, their technical expertise and support, and their warranty response meet my exacting standards. Therefore, we'll be talking about their products and the systems that I developed in association with them in this and the next episodes.
Now, we've been talking in some mighty technical terms. Why don't we dive into this in more of a practical approach of how this is best used by not only the facility manager, but also the GCs.
I provide the technical specification that you just saw to the contractors who are bidding, and we talk in detail about how they're to do the work, because this is not something that most contractors have ever done. I never let a contractor bid that has not attended my school, and I've instructed over 300 technicians in this process. And if they haven't attended my school, I will allow them to work with Laticrete directly with the understanding that the specific differences between what they're told by the Laticrete people and the things that I've put into my technical specifications are met by my standards, not by theirs. And that really comes to when they're washing the grout off of the tile at the end. The grout profile is critical when doing the work. I give them a copy of the industry standard for grout profile, and you're seeing that on your screen at this point in time, and that's also on our website. We agree on the square foot of tile to be bid, and also talk about damage and missing tiles that have to be repaired and wall repairs that have to be done. And finally, we also put in there a contingency of how much it's going to cost per square foot for other tile that they find that is loose and has to be replaced as a part of the saw cutting and grouting process, because we will find some delaminated tiles, and that's just part of the process.
And so once all of that's been taken care of, we have an actual list that is a recommended list for the contractor to have as a minimum tool and material list. Take a look at this graphic. So taking a look at the contractor list, the first and most important item on that list is a dustless circular saw or right angle grinder. They do, however, today make some additional saws that they term specifically for the process of cutting and removing the grout between the tiles. You need epoxy grout floats with firm and very sharp edges. Those aren't necessarily the ones you buy in the big box retail stores. Large terry cloth towels or grout eaters, margin trowels, wet vacuums, nylon scrub pads, gloves, degreaser of your choice, deck brushes and squeegees, floor tile and base tile of same color, or close to the same color. That doesn't always work out. Certainly the grout product, which we're about to go into, setting materials, which we're also about to talk about, buckets to mix the grout in, stay away from the buckets that belong to the restaurant. And then most important in all of this is a 1/4-inch luan or some kind of a floor covering surface, because these products don't cure quickly. It takes time, and we want to protect the new surfaces as much as we can in the process. Carpentry tools to cut out the floor covering and wall repairs, because we know we're always going to find some level of wall repair, and certainly some wonderboard and treated studs, and the ability to deal with any wall decay that we have at that time. We need a well-rested and motivated and organized crew to do this, because what happens in the world of epoxy grouts happens very quickly. And finally, plastic barriers and dust containment systems are critical because of the saw cutting nature of what we're doing to prep for the replacement grout.
Well, we set out a lot of the products that you could be using in this process, but we first want to talk about getting the restaurant ready for this process. I have and a copy is on the website, a sheet that I send out to the restaurants to notify them of what's going to happen and how they should be ready to assist and make everything work. If, for example, we're going to start this process on a Sunday night and the Sunday night business is slow in the restaurant and their football team is not playing a game on Sunday Night Football or the World Series and their team's not in it, they may be slow enough that they can close an hour early, and every hour we can get for the process is helpful. They need to keep their staff on site to do as fast of a cleanup as possible. They need to remove all the food from reach-ins that are in the area, because they might be unplugged and left unplugged overnight by the crews because they're moving them around. They need to get all the dishware and items for service out of the area because they'll get dusty in the whole process. They need to help us get the restaurant ready. In the morning, they're going to need extra crew coming in to dust and reset up the restaurant so it's ready to go, because nothing's going to be in the place that they would normally expect it following this work. There's other things that have to be considered here is what kind of cleaning crew? Are the staff going to do the cleaning that night? If they are, then they should not clean the areas that we're going to grout, because we're going to do that cleaning ourselves. So we need them to get in and clean. If they have an outside janitorial service come in, they need to recognize that they're going to be walking through an area where we're going to be working, and they have to be careful about their progress and not to track our product or to mess up our floors while we're grouting. So there's a bunch of little steps in here that the restaurant has to be aware of. But keeping them informed in advance, having a meeting in place about what to expect with the contractor, and coming up with agreements, including security arrangements with a landlord or mall, if that is part of it, and getting it all cleared up in advance will make a lot of things easier.
I think you were warned in the prior episode that epoxy grout is not necessarily as easy as a simple latex cement-based grout. But again, the rewards are more long-term and certainly more viable. So stay with us here. This is becoming a little complicated, because it's not just complicated in the way you communicate with operations, it's also complicated in the way the contractor has to deal with this too. In
the pre-construction meeting with the contractor as well as the operations, all need to be aware that this is an intensive, long-term restoration of the floor, and that it will take a little more time. This product does take longer to cure, and we can do less square footage per night because of that longer cure time. There are boards that will go down on the floor over this product, and it will be safe, but it will be a change in routine. It will be a change in routine for the cleaning crews for several days after it's installed, and we just have to live with it for a few days and everything will be right.
We thank Laticrete for being our sponsor in this series, and want to invite you to join us for the third part in this, where we'll get a little bit deeper dive into the nuts and bolts of not only the process, but the great products that are in front of us. I'm Ron.
And I'm Don.
This is the Ron and Don Show. Thanks for joining us. please subscribe.